why don't we just, Petroselli at 136 Indian Trail is pretty much a discussion of what's going on the site. So, are you here?
Yes, sir.
Why don't you hop up to the table? We're gonna just have a couple informal things until we have another member for,
Certainly.
so we can have a quorum.
Maybe they got stuck in that 93 traffic that I got stuck in.
Oh, jeez.
Sorry about that.
I don't know, no problem. So I got a call from, and I'm sorry, probably just for the record, your name's, it's
I'm Paul Petroselli,
Paul.
and this is Rick Grady, the site engineer.
Okay. So I got a call from Mr. Ye to take a look at the site, and I went out there, and I didn't have a plan with me when I went to the site, but I came back and looked at the plan in the folder, and it doesn't appear to me as though the fill in the back is per the plan that was submitted to the commission. It seems like there's a lot more fill and it's a lot steeper. And maybe I'm wrong. I don't know if Rick had a chance or your engineer had a chance to take a look. But on the plan, I think it showed a retaining wall of either railroad ties or stone. And it looks to me like there's a pretty steep wall that's all earth, maybe covering rocks or something like that. And it looks like the toe of that's pretty close to the property line. When I looked at the plan, it looked like it was supposed to be 10 or 15 feet back from the property line.
We haven't been to the site in a while. We were a little in the dark what we're even coming in here to discuss, so it didn't make any sense for us to go to the site since we had no idea what we were being asked to look at. I do understand that they exposed quite a bit of ledge in the backyard, so they have to retain some of that ledge to provide the same retaining as the walls were proposed to do.
Mr. Ye, wouldn't like the engineer and the owner just address it, and then we can jump to you, okay? Thank you.
So I do understand that it is still in the construction phase and that the final grading has not been finalized yet. Maybe we can get a better idea what it is that we're being asked to take a look at, and we'll go back and take a look at it.
It's Paul, right?
Yes.
So do you know what I'm talking about? In the, sort of in the back of the property, it looked to me like the area that was gonna get filled, the toe of that area. And the reason we're addressing, I think when you came before the hearing, we addressed the wetlands issue, but at the same time, there was a stormwater piece that you had to do.
Yeah, I'm familiar with that, yeah.
And this is the piece really that we're looking at. You're not towards the wetlands, but it's the stormwater piece that's supposed to be keeping water flow and stuff off your neighbor's property.
Yeah, this is all kind of new to me, that's why I have a site engineer, and when these things are going on, I'm just following the plan that he drew up, you know?
Mhm.
And, so that's kind of what we're doing, but we're not completed with it yet. You know, we're still working on it.
I don't think either member else, so I'll just come take a look
Sure.
at the plan and show you what I think they.
Either one.
So the property line is here,
Yes.
and just roughly to scale, I'd say that's about 10, 15 feet. It looks to me like the toe of this area that's filled is almost like right up to here.
No, I don't think so. It couldn't, because we have riprap all underneath here, just like it says here, this is all riprap, there's all stones all here. all
But
down.
I'm saying there shouldn't even be new fill here, am I right, Rick? The toe of that slope should be here.
The proposed, that's the top of that's all flat up here. This is designed to be, this is a retaining wall, okay? And we didn't put this retaining wall in because there was a boulder, stone boulder here, that we left there, so we did not put in this railroad ties and so forth, there's a big boulder in here.
The top of the piece should be, this is, the top of it should be at 40. Am I right?
Backyard is proposed at 40.
Right, so 40, so that's, yeah, that would be the grade, boom. Nice
And then the base of it,
32-ish.
right, which is sort of like a vegetated line here. And it looked to me like there was a string that's out there, which I'm assuming,
That's the lot line, yeah.
but it seemed to me like the base of that piece was fairly close to that string.
Yeah, it's rip-rap down to the line, rip-rap down to the line, and then you have 40 feet.
What does this plan show?
Existing contour 30, existing contour 32, existing 44, tying into the retaining wall.
So
right
it
here.
shouldn't start changing until where?
Just about where your fence was there,
Right.
proposed tree line.
There shouldn't be any material, any new material beyond this point right here. All this material that's placed in here shouldn't be there. I think probably the best bet would be for the engineers to go out and take a look at it and see what's what and where it changes from what was proposed. And the reason that we do that is to keep runoff from coming onto the neighbor's property. When I was there was a lot of silt. I know we've had a lot of rain.
He's right, it's on this side over here, actually. Yeah.
Okay.
This is-
It's on both sides, it's on all over.
And when we had this, it was out of the discussion to make sure that that didn't impact the neighbor. So I do think it's something that you guys should take a look at and see where it is and compared to what was proposed.
Okay.
And then if it's gonna deviate from that, how do we deal with it?
Yeah.
What we'd have to do is you'd wanna come back in with a plan to change from what's on that plan, and then how would you deal with that runoff? And that's something that we should look at with a whole board here.
Okay.
Go ahead if you wanna.
No, I don't know how much time we can take here, but, Paul has the right to build his house, but I believe he has been creeping the whole process little by little. And just like you pointed out, that wasn't slope. I mean, the steep is about from here to the corner of the house goes right up 40 feet. And, it just totally violated what, my concern last time I brought it up.
When we had a hearing for this site, you raised your concerns about this, and the commission looked at it, we addressed it. We said, okay, we could accept what you had with the rain garden and those pieces, but it appears to me, and I'm obviously not gonna tell you to move anything until somebody takes a look at this and sees if I'm on the right track with that. And then, if it is, how do you deal with that so that it doesn't impact his neighbor? That's one of the reasons we adopted the stormwater bylaw, was so that changes to other laws would have a minimal impact or no impact on your neighbor or wetlands or anything like that. If you were developing this piece of property, if you're altering more than 5,000 square feet of land and there were no wetlands, you'd be doing this with the planning board, and they'd look at it sort of the same way. But because there was wetlands on the site, then the stormwater bylaw is in the jurisdiction of the Conservation Commission. So one way or the other, you'd deal with it, it just depends on which board you would. But because of the proximity to the wetlands with the front of the house and where your septic was, you wound up in front of the commission, the Conservation Commission for that. But either way, somebody's got to deal with it, and that's the rationale for that. So I think it would be a good idea for you to have Grady take a look at that, look at it with your plan, see where you deviated from that, and either can you get it to where the plan is, or what can you do to mitigate what's happening there now.
The other concern I have is mainly because the heavy rains that we have had, is the house hasn't been completed yet. I'm getting so much runoff, as I documented.
Right.
In the document I forwarded to the commission. The house hasn't completed yet. And the roof from that house, all the water gonna run off, part of the storm water. I don't know where it's gonna go. The way it is now, it's gonna come right on my property. without the roof being done, I'm already getting so much runoff. With the
It-
roof being done, it's gonna be,
Right.
uncontainable.
In fairness, I mean, doing construction myself, and in fairness to them, it's been a tough season. It was dry and then it got really wet. Technically, you're supposed to contain all that stuff within your property. Right now, it's not. It's run over. So you've got to work that out with Mr. Ye in terms of cleaning that up or whatever. You do have a silt fence, you have hay bales at the bottom. There's just been so much stuff that's washed over.
Yeah, actually, I don't have silt fence down there in the back. It was never required, but I can see there's a need for it, so we can get that done right away.
Okay.
That's what we'll be happy to do that. Where it was required, in the front and the wetlands and all that, that's all been done, planned, but I can get that done tomorrow,
Okay.
yeah, right away.
All right.
It's just mitigate that.
Yeah, take a look at controlling that runoff, but I think you've really got to take a look at where that's going, and then, I think, I forget, were there interceptors or anything for the runoff from the rain garden is supposed to deal with part of that runoff, and I don't think everything's sloped into that right now, so obviously that's part of the problem.
Yeah, the rain garden's supposed to be taking roughly that westerly half of the backyard.
Right. So maybe you can take a look at that, and then, so during construction, you can figure out a way to not have that water heading towards that property, and then just take a look and see if you think it's still gonna function. The plan, the footprint didn't change, did it, from that plan?
No, it didn't.
Okay. Okay.
When you say footprint, what do you mean? The house
Foundation?
The
foundation?
foundation size didn't change from the plan that was submitted to us.
No.
I'm not so sure about that, but I would ask you to review it. I believe the foundation is 60 feet from it point to point, and I think current foundation, including the garage, is much larger than that.
Well, it seems to be exactly what was approved.
What was the date on that one compared to this one right here?
This was the proposed plan, and this was the as-built after the foundation was built.
So when you submit that, never went back to the, I'm sorry, it might be out of line.
That's
but-
right.
So
Say
when
that
that was
again?
submitted to the building inspector, was never resubmitted to the conservation, because it's not necessary, is that what you're saying? So
Right.
from 60 feet, you can go to 120 feet?
Are we being criticized for building this according to plan? Am I hearing this correctly?
No, no,
Just asking.
as long as
Is that-
the plan that's submitted to the Conservation Commission, as long as what's on the property is the same one that was submitted
Right.
for approval, then that part is really not much.
Right, but I'd like to ask, to review that,
Well, he's got an as-built,
but
So-
that's not what you guys reviewed, that's years ago when we had this meeting.
we have a plan that was submitted, and our agent will be back next week, so he can take a look at this further. What we want to see is what the difference is between what we approved and what's constructed. Both with you can check the foundation, you can check the grading, the fill, and let us know.
The foundation is dead on for what was proposed. We have not done any as-built surveys on the grading.
Okay. All right. Well, I think you should take a look at that piece and see where that is. And then appreciate your willingness to get after that siltation as quick as
Oh,
possible.
yeah. I had them all set up for tomorrow,
Okay.
but I didn't know, I didn't want to do it today.
Sure.
And then have you tell me to do something different.
Yeah.
So I got them lined up. for
All right,
tomorrow.
well, as far as going on to Mr. Ye's property to clean that up, you gotta work that out with him, but, as far as to make sure that more doesn't come over, but I really think you need to take a look at
Yeah.
how that was graded and shaped, okay?
Okay.
Now, what do we do if we're getting in front of you again? Do we have a chance to take a look at it? Do we contact you and set up a meeting, or what do we do?
Yeah.
Only if we're proposing changes.
Yeah.
If the intent's still going to be to build it according to the approved plan, then you can keep.
But I think
going
part of
forward.
your orders are that you should be keeping us apprised of what's going on. I think in your orders of conditions, it says you should be sending something to the office with where you are on the site periodically and stuff like that. Nobody follows through to the degree that we asked for, but take a look at that order
Okay.
in your condition, and then let us know where you are with that, okay?
All right.
Very good.
Oh, and actually, so that would be under the stormwater approval?
I believe that that piece is under the stormwater one.
So was there actually an order of conditions under the stormwater?
Well, there should be an order of conditions for the whole site because of the proximity. I think you filed a notice, I believe, right? Or an RDA, you know what?
We filed a notice for the work on the front of the property, yeah.
So technically, it's for the site to just keep us appraised of what's going on. That's the part that, like I say, if it was the planning board, if there wasn't a wetlands on there, the planning board would deal with the stormwater piece, but that's sort of how we split it up. And, you know, in fairness as well, we've had a couple of agents roll over since the time that you probably started this project, so we'll do the best we can with it. All right,
All right.
great, thanks a lot.
My apologies.
I think, yeah, you understand that, until they can go out and evaluate that, that's about the best that we can. He can stop the silt from running onto your property, and then they'll take a look and let us know where they are.
Okay, so I can check with Paul.
It's up to Pat now.
I mean,
There was
I can
Paul,
check-
Jim,
Paul
now we got
check, right.
Pat.
I can check with Pat when he comes back.
Is he back next week, Carol? Okay. But you'll get back to us.
Yep, actually, I'm on again at 7:10. Paul and I are gonna take a quick ride out there now and take a quick look at it, and then I'll be back for that hearing.
Good enough. Can't ask more than that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So, I think we can open the meeting. First off, the agenda. Is there anybody that wants to make any changes to the agenda? Shorten it up a few hands.
Yeah, let's take a few things out of it.
All right. Can I accept the agenda? Anybody want to accept the agenda as proposed?
So moved.
Second? All in
Aye.
favor?
Aye.
All right.
Great, thanks. So why don't we jump right into the IDAs, and we can try to get back on track a little bit. Loftus, 62 Rebecca Road, extended deck. On July 8th, 2013, during the 6:15 meeting, the Town Hall Scituate Conservation Commission will act on a request of Kathleen M. Loftus for a determination of applicability of the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act and the Scituate Wetlands bylaws to extend the deck 6 feet back and 10 feet to the side on the property located at 62 Rebecca Road, Scituate. Abutters and other interested parties are invited to attend. So, fire away.
Oh, okay.
Your name first and.
Kathleen Loftus, 62 Rebecca Road.
Brian Howell, 62 Rebecca Road.
So what would you like to do?
Okay, so we currently have a deck as shown on the plan, existing deck, but also some diagonal stairs coming off to the side. If you're looking out at the marsh, those stairs are on the right. It's pretty narrow, so there's not a lot of space for people to stand. Only enough space really for a table and chairs, and a grill that's like 2 feet away from that table. So what we were hoping to do is pull the deck out, and you can see that, not perfectly drawn stairs now, but they're more in the middle, coming out onto the grass. But we would also propose to extend that deck, so that's coming out 6 feet from the existing, the 10 feet to include where there is now a room, it's called a whirlpool room there. Because we had originally done this extra work where the garage was, and you see the stairs. We had an attic pull-down hatch into the garage that was a finished room above the garage. So that work was done about 2002, where we extended the garage to put a true staircase in. We removed those other diagonal deck stairs, and that became like a solarium room. And we're proposing to take the deck now out to the end of that room on the side.
Okay, it said earlier on, we're without the benefit of an agent tonight, which would be helpful. Do you know, Carol, is there a folder on this property already?
A previous folder?
Yeah. Just wondering if you did that work in 2002, did you file with the commission?
Yes, it is.
She looks very familiar.
Yeah. And I apologize, I forget.
Probably Vinnie
Vinny, thank you, Vinny Kalicious, yeah.
was the agent then.
So we had, and that's why we had this drawn, the plan of proposed work was actually for that room. And there are wetland delineation here, flagged wetland.
And that's from 2002? Do you remember if there's any, like, standing orders or anything that came out of that? That
No, it
would
was-
preclude any of that? I mean, we should probably be looking, but,
Want me to run the other side there?
Probably see if there's a certificate of compliance, right?
yeah, do you know if you did that? What they call a certificate of compliance. When you would completed the work, you'd usually have an engineer or somebody come back to the commission and let us know that it was all built in compliance, or Vinnie would have gone out and signed off on it.
I think Vinny came out and signed off on it, because I remember him coming back, but I don't know that we actually came back for a second hearing or anything.
It wouldn't really be a
Oh.
hearing, it's just,
Yeah.
you submit your drawings or whatever, just saying that it's all done in compliance, and someone goes out and checks and makes sure that it's okay.
Okay. I don't think we did a second plan submission, if you will, but I know Vinny did come out and check.
Okay. Um, You just give Carol 1 second. No.
Of course, it's right up there.
Okay. We archive all of our. This is their filing right now. But what I'm wondering is, we would have a folder like previous filings. When the commission made decisions before, there would have been maybe a
Conditions.
stipulation that there's supposed to be some mitigation for the work, like, because right now, the proposal is inside the buffer zone, and we try to avoid that. There are issues where we allow it, but usually it depends if there's some mitigation involved, some plantings or something like that. An RDA is a request for a determination, so that you determine whether you need to have a notice of intent, or you can do this work without that formality or extra filing. Oftentimes, we'll allow a deck or small work to be done under an RDA. But I think it would be important, because it's in the buffer zone and you already have some work, we probably should have been looking at that file to see just what was done under that previous file.
I know there weren't any requests to do mitigating factors at that point. What we did have to do during construction was put the
Hay bales.
hay bales.
Sure.
Yeah, we didn't have any other mitigating requests.
And truthfully, the part that makes it the wetlands is phragmites that the neighbor wanted left in between. I don't know if are you familiar with Rebecca Road?
Sure.
And some people have like a 10-foot backyard, some people have a 50-foot backyard. So 2 houses down, the house next door to us didn't want to buy the lot. They bought the lot, so they have a big L. And then whoever owned our house bought the lot. So our yard goes back. So in between our yard and 2 neighbors down, they've allowed the phragmites to grow up as a as a screen.
Sure.
So the Phragmites go all along Rebecca Road in a straight line, and then at the edge of our house, they go up maybe 10 feet wide, but probably 30 feet deep, you know, back towards the marsh. But it's a strip 10 feet wide, and I think that's where the 50-foot buffer part comes into. It's not off the back of, straight back off the marsh itself.
Yeah, if we showed you the neighbor's plot plan, it's their backyard,
Mhm.
basically, yeah.
Well, we
I mean,
can
I
s-
understand it's still-
We can see on the plan where they flag the wetlands.
Yes.
Do you know how close your lawn goes to that
We should have
wetlands
done
line?
an Aerial
Right up to that.
photograph, but.
Right up to it, okay.
As everyone
Right,
does
right.
there.
I think Vinnie was very familiar with the property before because the homeowners that owned it before us were doing work and he had been out there several times. So I think that's why he knew
Right.
what, and even Pat, when I spoke with him, figured it would probably be more of a simple, you know,
Filing.
not
Yeah. Well, and I feel badly that you wind up here tonight and he's not here
Yeah, right.
to have him looked at it. And then we don't have the benefit of that file to see what was done. Bill, do you have any questions?
No, I'm just thinking that maybe we should wait till Pat gets back, but I don't know how you feel about that.
Any thoughts?
No, just because we don't have access to any previous information, it's hard to try to make any decision or recommendation without it, and especially Pat not being here.
I know it's a bit of an inconvenience, but my hope, we could continue this to the next meeting.
Okay.
It would give us a chance to get the folder, take a look at the site, see whether there was anything else, and then maybe we could make some recommendations. Typically, if something's inside the buffer, if we were to allow it, we'd look for you to do some sort of mitigation, either some sort of planting or something like that, and I'd feel better if Pat were the one that were making some of these recommendations.
That's exactly what he said to me when I submitted everything, so there'd probably be some plantings, you know, in lieu of Phragmites or something, but.
We're not a very mysterious board.
Is the next meeting?
At least in your
2
opinion.
weeks, yeah.
It is. What's,
22nd, I think.
22nd is the next one.
yeah.
And then would a decision be made that night and then it goes to?
We could make a decision that night and then we could sign off. There's an appeal period, so you're under your own peril a little bit if a neighbor or somebody objected, but, you know, if it wasn't, it'd be up to you whether you wanted to take that on.
Okay.
All right? And I apologize.
Sorry for the inconvenience.
Making you wait, but we should be taking a look at that.
Okay.
All right?
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, we're
So,
good.
we have a motion to continue,
RDA.
RDA for Loftus till July 22nd. We don't even put a time on those, do we?
No.
So,
Do you need a copy of the ad? that's
Notice.
in the paper?
nope,
No.
nope, we're good.
But
And we don't have to re-advertise.
Okay.
should we contact Patco to get the folder and all the information?
It would be a good idea, I think, he won't be, when's he back?
Monday.
Next Monday. I mean, if Carol, you can give Carol a call tomorrow when she has a chance to find that, it's probably archived. You guys could take a look at that together and just see whether there's anything else in the folder that you might want to deal with.
Okay.
Yeah, see if there's a certificate of compliance, so you're not surprised, and read through the conditions just to make sure there's not anything you weren't aware of.
All right, thank you.
Okay? Thanks a lot.
Thanks.
Thank
So
you.
those were your conditions stay in place for 3 years.
Do I use-
We'll know what happens when you do it.
Yeah, you can,
You report them on the date.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, when you've complied with everything, you get an inspection.
Yeah.
you know what? I
You
never
sign
did
them
that.
off, and you go, and they remove the deed. Most people don't do that, and they're open, and they go to sell the house, and the title's in there, and there's all these conditions.
Do I have a second for that continuation?
Yep, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thanks, Carl.
Thank you.
Adams, 700 Glades Road. So this is out at the end of the Glades. It was an addition, and there was another building.
One that we heard last time.
Fire away.
All right, so this is a continuation of the notice of intent hearing, so I'll refresh your memory on the project. This property is located towards the end of Glades Road.
I know that you're world famous, but for the record, you...
Oh, Jeff Assett with Morse Engineering.
Thank you.
The proposed work includes additions to the house, including a second story and then bump outs here and here with beyond the footprint. Also, there's a one-bedroom studio building here, which is going to be raised, and then a new studio building constructed outside of the 50-foot buffer, further away from the wetland. Also involved is the septic repair right here, which is currently in a lawn area, and reconfiguring the gravel driveway. So, per the previous hearing, we revised the plan. The revisions include adding the bulkhead to the plan, which is located under the deck, relocating the studio building to be outside of the 50-foot buffer it was within the same location, and labeling the types of foundations. The studio building will be built on a slab. This 6-foot, 4-foot bump out will be a 4-foot frost wall. And there's a bump out here, 24 feet, and it extends beyond the existing footprint another 6 feet, and that will be a full 8-foot basement. This will be a 4-foot frost wall along this side of the wall. We've also moved the septic tank outside of the 100-foot buffer. That's good. Some other notes. The benefits of this project is that it reduces the square footage of the structure within the 50-foot buffer by 30 feet because we're moving this building outside and demolishing that building. So 30 square feet less of structure within the 50-foot. We're not proposing any structures or work closer to the top of bank, which is a resource on this property, than what's currently existing. And all of the work is in areas that are currently lawn. We're not proposing any vegetation to be removed other than the grass, which will be restabilized. And there's, the top of bank was discussed at the last hearing, whether erosion was possible. And that really would not be possible at this property because the bank is exposed ledge, so I don't think we have to worry about erosion. There's also an erosion control barrier well prior to it, and there's brush before the top of the bank. So I brought took a few photos, which I brought for better clarity. This top left picture is showing the area of gravel driveway to be reconfigured. This is a building that will be demolished, and the bulkhead is actually located below this deck. This picture is simply showing the area where the septic will be installed to view northwest, and also where the foundation drain will daylight into a lawn area. A foundation drain is necessary in this project because of the ledge. There's currently a swale, an existing swale in the lawn where that pipe will daylight. This is a view south looking at where the additions will be constructed. In this area here, there will be a 4-foot bump out, and here a 6-foot bump out. And this is showing the same thing from the opposite view, looking north, a 4-foot bump out and a 6-foot bump out. So I believe we've addressed the comments from the last hearing. Greg submitted a letter and a revised plan outlining what I just went over. So if you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer them.
Do you recall, we did talk about this edge of this driveway and trying to see if there would be any way to make sure that there wouldn't be any runoff or siltation or anything coming off the edge of the driveway. You don't think that can be addressed at all, or you don't think it needs to be?
I think at the edge of a driveway, pretty up, for a paved driveway, you put a gravel strip. And being a gravel driveway, the entire driveway will kind of have the same effect. Also, there's a brush line here, which will act as a nice filter as well. And during construction, there'll be a silt fence.
And that's gonna remain, all the brush and,
Yes. Yes, we're not removing any vegetation.
any questions?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, the view will take that much.
Huh?
It's gonna be a beautiful view.
Yeah.
Paul?
Yeah, no, it looks good.
No, thanks for making all those changes.
Just wondering if we can put in our orders that this brush line not change. Jeff, maybe it wouldn't anyways, I wouldn't want to see him make the lawn any larger.
No, I think that's fair. It's not their intent to.
Right. And it already shouldn't be altered because it's inside of the 50-foot, so really
Right.
putting a condition, be a big deal.
I mean, now it's documented where that line is.
Right.
Okay.
During construction, there will be, that erosion control barrier again will be there, so it'll be clearly defined. The contractor will have to know.
So what I'm saying is that we'll have a note in the conditions that this line will remain, that they wouldn't expand the lawn. Okay? All right,
Good.
a motion to close,
Motion to close the hearing?
second,
Second?
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Farkas, 7 Oliver Street. On July 8, 2013, 6:40 PM, the Town Hall Scituate Conservation Commission will hold a wetlands hearing under Chapter 131, Section 40 of Mass General Laws and Section 30700 Town of Scituate Code of Bylaws regarding the application of Jeffrey Farkas to raise and rebuild a dwelling on wood-driven piles on property located at 7 Oliver Street, Hummerock. Abutters and other interested parties are invited to attend. So what well, you know that as well. We'll close the hearing.
Yep.
Then there'll be a set of orders will be put together, and then at the next meeting, we'll vote those orders. So what we try to do is be sure that we discuss anything that we want to consider in the orders, like making sure that that grass line stays or whatever. The orders of conditions is a whole bunch of, sometimes Carol can show you, there's a lot of standard orders, and then there's sort of some specific to the site that are typically at the end of the orders, and we put in any of those pieces. And at the next meeting, we'll vote to approve those orders, at which time then they can go forward from there. And then they have to record them in the registry, and there's a few other things that typically their engineer deals with. So we'll have an opportunity to look at, Carol will send those out to you, you'll have a chance to look at those orders and say, oh yeah, that's what we want to put in there,
Okay.
to make sure that that edge is protected or something like that.
Good.
Okay?
Okay, thank you.
Marabito?
Thank you. My name is Paul Mirabito from Russ Engineering Company, representing the owner and applicant, Jeffrey Farkas. The locus is at number 7 Oliver Street in Hummerock. It's the second house in from the South River, and it's one house in from River Street. Mr. Farkas currently owns an existing dwelling shown in brown on this plan on a 40-foot by 80-foot lot. There's a septic system, a leaching field in the front, which is fairly new, the septic tank and a pump chamber to the rear of the house. What he's proposing to do is to raise the existing house and construct a new house in the location outlined in purple here. And in the rear of the house, you'll have an open deck, and there'll be a small open deck on the front of the house as well. The only change in the dimension of the house is we're gonna push it back a couple feet in this direction, about 3 or 4 feet here to square it off. The house is 29 foot 10 inches by 32 feet. And proposed depth. Because this is on a barrier beach, it has to be on a wood-driven pile foundation. John Queen, is the structural engineer, has prepared the structural engineering plans which were submitted with the application. And because we are on a barrier beach, the top of the pile has to be at least 2 feet above grade, and there's a note on the plan to that effect. Our plan shows the piles to be at elevation 9.1, with the lowest grade being elevation 7. And it's also in zone AE elevation 10. It means the first floor would have to be at elevation 10 as a minimum. Putting it on piles, they'd be at elevation 11 to 11.5. So vertically, the house meets the performance standards. There's no changes in the septic systems. There's no change in the existing grades. It is a relatively small lot, and everything else will stay the same as it is on the lot, so. With that, I'll end my presentation and answer any questions you may have.
No, I think, I know the house well. It's a good project to get it up on pilings and.
Any questions?
None at all.
No?
Paul, does this, you're elevating it now to the existing FEMA maps?
Yes, this is based on the new elevation datum, NAVD 88.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is there a change? I can ask our expert FEMA map. Is there a change for this area, Rosemary, do you know?
I don't know about the area.
You sure?
On this side here,
The proposed FEMA maps aren't changed? I mean, you can obviously build to this one because that's what's in place right now, but it might be worth taking a look at.
I mean, that was always, that always had a flood zone to it as opposed to velocity zone because you're by the South River, so, you expect the water to rise. There's no wave action here, but because you're on a barrier beach, it isn't in the regulations, but DEP has a policy that your piles have to be at least 2 feet above existing grade. The reason for that is so any sediment coming from the ocean can flow underneath the house and into the river.
Right. But we are getting a whole another set of maps with increased elevation because everyone seems to think that,
The ocean's risen more
well,
than...
we're sinking something. But it just might be worth your client's while. I mean, if it's a couple more feet and you're gonna be in compliance with the next set of maps. I mean,
I
we're,
haven't seen the draft maps, but
I don't know.
are they out, are they available? or-
They're out and available.
Who has them?
Yeah.
Oh, he does, okay.
Yeah.
No, we take a look at it.
You might wanna, I mean,
Yeah, we can always go up. I
right,
mean, this meets the maps from last July 12th. It's almost a year.
I know. But it's crazy, but they're
I know
changing again, and it could save them some money on their insurance, and, I mean, maybe they don't wanna be any higher, or maybe you have, I don't know how high your structure is. But
I mean, I've used up a little bit already. That house has a crawl space in it. That'll obviously go.
Right. So all the foundations being removed and graded.
Everything's going, yes.
What's on the rest of it, Paul? Is it all just lawn? The site?
Sand.
Sand?
Yeah.
That's it?
He's got some patio blocks in the back. I think he's got a fire pit and a grill. That's about it. It's a small lot. That's the septic system in the front, the leaching field takes up the whole front yard. They've got the septic tank and a pump chamber in the back, so that really limited the size of the new house.
And it's just gonna stay that way, the yard?
Yes.
Right. Anybody else? Motion to close?
Motion to close.
Second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Viviano, 6 Cliff Road, septic repair. We still don't have DEP approval?
No, I've got that on each house.
So you think we just move it to the 22nd? So can I get a motion to continue Viviano, 6 Cliff Road to July 22nd?
Motion to continue till the 22nd?
What time would you like that to be?
Let's make that 7 o'clock.
Okay,
At 7?
7 PM. Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
McCormick, 43 Wampatuck Ave, addition. On July 8, 2013, at 7 PM, the Town of Scituate Conservation Commission will hold a wetlands hearing under Chapter 131, Section 40 of the Massachusetts General Laws and Section 30700 Town of Scituate Code of Bylaws regarding the application of John McCormick to construct an addition on property located at 43 Wampatuck Ave. Scituate abutters and other interested parties are invited to attend. You're up.
I don't bring one of those fancy little stands. David Ray, Fantastic Survey Engineering.
Hi.
Do you guys have a
Yes, sir.
copy of my plan?
Yep.
Yep. Your name?
John McConnell, sir. Yeah, this is my plan, John McConnell, our property is 43 Wampatuck Avenue, and basically it's a small home that my client has recently purchased and has already experienced the wrath of the Atlantic Ocean. He and his wife would like to improve their home, and they came to me with the thought of elevating the home. So what we are proposing to do is basically jack the home up, elevate it 9 feet, put a new FEMA compliant foundation underneath it with a series of smart vents, bring the house back down on this new foundation. The area underneath what will be the new second and third floor is going to just be a garage and storage space. And effectively, that's what we're doing. We have looked at the new FEMA maps, and yes, they are available online if anyone wants to see them. We are going from an AE zone elevation 10 to an AE elevation 16. We've designed this home to where it will have 3 feet of freeboard. So the first floor, or the first floor of living space will be an AE elevation 19, or will be elevation 19, 3 feet above.
Paul?
No questions.
One other thing I probably should point out too is my client actually is also pursuing a FEMA grant program with the town administrator. So we are hoping to get this closed prior to August 1st.
Sure. Have they made any headway with that, do you know? I went to the workshop that they had for the grants. I know they were still trying to obtain them.
As far as I know, it's due August 1st. I just found out actually last weekend, I think I was talking to the grapevine. They wanted everything on by the fall, but that changed a couple of months ago. So
Right.
I kind of scrambled. I apologize for the short.
No. We're
But
encouraging folks to do that.
Yes.
I mean, this house has already gone up at least once before. It's just a tough area.
And well, one of the things when it went up before, it didn't go up onto a FEMA compliant foundation.
Right.
So this should cure the issues. Plus, we've built in 3 feet of freeboard. So unless they change the maps again, and it seems like Situate's changing just left and right here.
Is Hull, did they change much in Hull?
Ours has changed in 2012, but prior to that, ours had come out in 1983. So it was kind of appropriate for us to have a new change. Scituate, I believe your last change was, yeah, very recently. But
Right.
someone's got to pay for Katrina and Sandy. So we can the Eastern Seaboard do most of it.
There you go. And you've got a foundation plan.
Yeah, he does.
Yep.
And foundation plan is done by Steel Falls with Rivermore
Yep.
Engineering.
Okay. We may have a couple of pieces in there as far as maintaining your construction debris and stuff like that, so that if there's a storm while you're doing the work, it's not all in your neighbor's yard or something. A motion to
Motion to close the hearing?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Good luck with your project.
thank you.
Thank you all for your time. We appreciate it.
Is it Nolan? 7 Marshfield Ave?
Sorry, that's cool.
Is that the one that ran out for?
Recognize these.
Nolan?
Yeah, just waiting on Grady.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's better than coming 15 minutes late then. Okay.
We can do one of two things. We can just hash over a couple of simple things, because our next hearing isn't until 7:20.
Okay.
And then
We got no agents
Marshfield
report.
Ave isn't ready? Okay.
Marshall Ave, the engineer that was here with the other one was gonna run out and look at that site, so he's
Oh.
hung up for a minute. But that's all right. And we just can't start another one till the time that's on it, which is only a couple of minutes away. So we don't have an agent's report. Anything in the office that, keeping you up nights?
Kent Street, that
Oh, yeah. Did anybody get a chance? I did not get a chance to go by Kent Street.
No.
I will try to go by there tomorrow,
Okay.
and I'll give you a call.
And that's,
What number was it?
73.
Okay,
time are you
I'll go
going?
by 2.
I don't know.
all right.
I just do it on
Yeah, when you can.
my loop strong, but if you have a chance to take a look and see what's there, I gotta, did you send us something on the, plan? What was existing? Did you scan something? Did I see something? I think you might have.
I can,
I'll,
if I did-
or I'll give you a call, stop in. I'm pretty sure you did. Yeah, if you have a chance to run by, but we'll take a look and see. Anything else?
that I can think of.
Do we have an order of conditions for,
121 Turner.
and no certificates of compliance tonight?
No.
That's good. So maybe, one of the other things, Paul, we just, Bill had asked about like roles and different things that
Yep.
different members do. And it would be something I'd like to get back into with the commission. And, you know, there's a whole array of different projects that the commission has that we're doing, from open space to the spit. We have care and custody of the Driftway Park and a number of pieces in town. And what we had tried to do before is sort of break those responsibilities up between different members. If you have a specific interest that you like, take a look at it and say, geez, I wouldn't mind spending more time on that. Tony Jones was living, or does live on Third Cliff, and he had sort of taken on the spit and some of those projects as it was close to home. So what I try to do maybe is get with Carol, and you and I had an old list of some different projects, and see if we can maybe puff those up a little bit, and then talk about what your interests are, and then see if we can get some different members to participate on some of those. Might be a good way.
Terrific.
You know, I know that you're, in the past, spent a lot of time with waterways.
Yep.
So that might be of an interest to you,
The sped?
you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
That'd be great.
Absolutely.
We've been working hard to make sure that, like, the plover signs are up and that, you know, there's no damage done there, and we've been working really well with the police department and the fire department.
North River Commission and all those guys. Yep, sure.
So that might.
If that breaks down, that would be happy to.
Okay, all right. We'll try to
Keen
make a
interest,
list
yeah.
and get it out to you guys so that you can think about it.
Sounds like a great idea.
And being from Hummerock, I'm sure that there's no lack of things to keep you
Busy?
busy.
Tony was in today,
Oh, good.
and he said he was, if you still want him to work on the CI, we certainly will, and also work with you with the Conway.
Okay.
And,
We had,
I was here.
okay, oh, good.
Because I was testifying in front of you guys that night.
Right, right. So whenever we acquire a piece of open space, along with that piece of property comes what they call a conservation restriction. And it makes sure that nothing happens on that property that we didn't intend, or the people that sold it to us. Sometimes people sell it at a reduced price, or they gift it to the town with an idea that it's never gonna get developed, or that certain things happen on the property. Should we have walking trails or whatever. We sort of built on that and had a study done by the Conway School. It was a graduate school of a lot of the open space we've acquired in the West End, and we're trying to maybe develop that further, thinking about more trails, other uses, parking, all that sort of thing. So it's a project that the commission has ongoing. And, you know, we have been in a lot of transition. We've had a number of agents in the last 4 years or 5 years. So it'd be nice to get some continuity and start to get back to work on some of those. The Driftway is a great place that a lot of people use, but it needs maintenance and things like that, and it's something I'm hoping we can maybe address a little bit more. Just recently, we had a request from the animal control officer to think about whether there was a piece of land that they could fence in and use for dog exercise.
Dog parks become very popular.
Yeah, so.
Right down the street from the shelter, too.
So that we're talking about whether that might be a possibility or whatever, so.
There's a lot of pluses to doing dog parks, because one, there's less chance of dogs going on dunes and areas and disturbing birds if they have an area to go to.
So we've got a couple of pieces that they might be able to consider for that, but it's just one more piece that involves the commission. You know, you wind up getting into a bunch of different aspects, so. But I think maybe if Carol and I start with that list, and then.
And if you want me to work with Tony and catch up with him, that's fine.
That'd be awesome.
Too.
That'd be
What's his
great.
last name?
Jones.
Okay. I can just reach out to you for his contact, and I'll.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
No problems.
We can do 7:20 hearing, which is it Nasheen? Nasheen. On July 8th, 2013, at 7:20 PM, the Town Hall, Scituate Conservation Commission will hold a wetlands hearing under Town of Scituate Code of Bylaws to amend order conditions issued under DEP file number 68-2439 regarding the application of Stanley Nashon to install a septic system on property located at 272 Central Ave, Hummerock, and others and other interested parties invited to attend.
Good evening, my name is Peter Palmieri from Merrill Associates in Hanover. We have the design engineers for this project. We are here tonight to request an amendment to an existing order of conditions, which is located at 272 Central Ave, Hummerock.
Can I just say, hold one sec. Carol, how do we advertise that?
There's an amendment.
So it just is through a newspaper ad, or? Okay,
We also notified the abutters.
great, thank you.
It is, excuse me, it's located on the easterly side of Central Ave, Central Ave being down here, the ocean being up here. This is the property of the application. We are located on Barrier Beach, coastal dune, and also within the FEMA velocity zones. This line here is the delineation between elevation 19 and elevation 16 of the velocity zone. This line is the demarcation between elevation 16 and elevation 13 of the velocity zone. So the house itself and the front part of the property are in the velocity zone elevation 13. The existing order condition for this property is actually just for the construction of the deck around the existing home, which is located here. The house is on piles. The existing deck is up at elevation 18.66. The top of the piles are at elevation 17. We're requesting an amendment to allow a septic repair for the property. The old cesspool was destroyed by the storms in February, so consequently, the applicant has decided to try to upgrade the system to meet the Title V regulations. We're proposing, the septic system consists of an elevated tank at elevation 13 which will be located here in an enclosure. The enclosure will be heated, and again, it'll be built above the velocity zone of elevation 13. Flow will go, by gravity, the effluent from the tank will come over and go down into a traditional type leaching system. It'll consist of a series of chambers. It'll be 8.5 feet wide and 25 feet long. It'll be located on this side of the property here. There'll be a slight elevation change from around elevation, it varies now between 10 and 11. We're going to have to raise the elevation up to about elevation 12.9. And the work is all proposed on this side of the site. And we're also proposing a line of a silt stock for erosion control. We have submitted this application to the Board of Health. I spoke to Jennifer today. She hasn't completed her review. But because we're going to be within 10 feet of the property line, we will have a hearing with the Board of Health. And I think that is about it. The tank size will be 750 gallons.
And that's elevated?
Yes. Yeah.
You put that on piles, or?
What it'll be is, on the plan it shows actually a section line through here. There'll be a series of supports on the existing piles, which will raise up the bottom of the tank to the required elevation. And there is enough room between the top of the tank and the existing deck, which will allow us to not have to do any modification to the deck itself.
Huh. Is that like a fiberglass tank, or?
It's polyethylene.
So the tank's not heavy?
Not itself, but the supports will be designed by a structural engineer. There's a note on the plan, and Bill McQueen did the structural design of the deck, and he's going to review that once we go to the Board of Health.
Okay. Paul?
The only comment I had, and I don't know how much you've done on the plumbing planning, but when they run the lines down from that tank, try to put them in the shadow of one of the pilings, or, because I know on some of the houses, they've just got the PV, and the ocean comes through every time and just shears off the.
Actually, they had, the old line did come over here, and it was on one of the cross members. It wasn't on one of the girts, but on the cross.
Right, but I mean, where it comes down to the ground, that's where it
actually,
gets.
that's why we put the D-box right next to this pile.
Okay.
To try to anchor it as best we
Right.
could.
Any thoughts or questions?
No.
Do we want to continue this till you get Board of Health, just in case they have any changes?
That might not be a bad idea, because I actually, when we were talking about the date, I wanted to get it on as soon as possible, and then I thought, well, maybe that wasn't such a great idea, but yeah, if we could.
Give you another meeting to attend.
Get to see us again, yeah.
You guys do more than I do.
I mean, we can close it at the next meeting without you, if there's no changes.
I think that would be a good idea, actually. That way, if there is a change, then we can still have a hearing on it.
Okay. All right, so we'll make a motion.
Motion to continue this till 22 July.
Okay.
You have to give it time.
7:10 or something.
7:10?
Second?
I'm not sure whether we're going to be in front of the Board of Health.
Board of Health by then?
Because I think Jennifer said the last week in July. Could we continue till then?
Yeah, because it's really kind of an administrative
Yeah, we'll
continuance,
just-
so.
We'll do something
We
again.
can
And we'll
continue
just
it
push
again,
it at the
yeah.
next one?
Yeah.
So you have a second.
Back to
Yeah.
7:10?
Yeah, leave it there.
Okay.
Yeah, if you get on a little earlier, maybe we'll just push it back and you can scoot down the hall.
Yeah.
Usually they're not the same night as us.
No, I'm not sure, but I thought she said that, but I wasn't.
Well, that would put you into
100%.
August.
So I'd like to leave it as it is.
Okay, all right, we can always continue it again. And you don't have to show for that, if you just let the office know if you need to continue.
All right.
All right?
Yep, that'd be fine.
Great,
Thank you.
thank you very much. Did anybody in the audience? We have one person interested.
No.
You're okay with
I
that?
wouldn't say interested.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Nolan, 7 Marshfield Ave. So on July 8, 2013, at 7:10 PM, the Town Hall Situate Conservation Commission will hold a wetlands hearing under Chapter 131, Section 40, Massachusetts General Laws, and Section 30700, Town of Situate Code of Bylaws regarding the application of Bruce Nolan, Humrock Industrial, CO Stephen Lehman, to repair a septic, repave, and install force main on property located at 7 Marshfield Ave, Humrock. Butters and other interested parties are invited to attend.
Thank you, Rick Grady from Grady Consulting. Steve Lehman. Some certified receipts for you here. This is a septic system repair at 7 Marshfield Avenue, located in the corner of Marshfield Avenue and Central Avenue. It's an existing metal building located in this portion of the site here. We have 3 existing 4,500 gallon tanks to the rear of the property, which were used for the lobster operation previously. We're proposing to retain those 3 tanks and convert them to a septic tank, first compartment, septic tank, second compartment, and a pump chamber. And then we're proposing to pump the effluent in a 3-inch force main around the building to a series of infiltrator in a bed configuration throughout this entire parking area here and this parking area here. Groundwater is at 9 feet, so we're able to maintain the existing grades on the property. So following construction, everything will be returned to the same grade as currently exists. Surface covers will remain exactly as they are now. Existing paved areas will be repaved. Existing gravel areas will remain gravel. We have met with Board of Health on this already, and they have approved the septic portion of the project. I'd be glad to answer any questions you may have.
Yeah, you know when you come across the bridge in Marina and the seafood place, and that's the Howard Rock gifts there.
So you could take the existing tanks that were were those underground?
They're underground. They're really septic tanks. They're precast 4,500 gallon septic tanks. They were used for a different purpose previously, but they're still a precast concrete septic tank. They're watertight. They need to be repiped. That's really about it. Other than that, they meet all the criteria needed for Title V.
Oh.
Pretty damn clever.
And what, where the existing septic is, where is the that serve the building now?
The existing septic is a septic tank out in this parking lot here, distribution box and leaching pit. So with the changes to Title V, going with shallower systems and no more leaching pits, it takes up a larger area.
Do you run tests to make sure they're still watertight? I mean, how old are they? I mean, how do you determine that they're still watertight?
Well, basically, we inspected them and then re-inspected them, and the water level in them did not change. Yeah, as simple as that. Nothing coming in, nothing being taken out, and the water levels stayed the same.
Is this an increase in capacity?
No, it's not. Board of Health wouldn't have allowed an increase in capacity of, actually, it is a fully compliant system.
Yep.
Other than some setbacks for the tanks to the rear of the building. There just isn't really enough space on the property to put enough leaching in for it to be considered an increased capacity.
Okay.
So from the Board of Health's perspective too, it will be restricted to a design flow of 1,555 gallons per day.
When it shows existing asphalt, Rick, which line is that?
It's a little tricky to follow. Let's see, which area are you looking at?
So we got.
Yep. Okay. The existing edge of pavement is actually right here. Follows down right to the entry here and actually bumps like that. Out in this area here, here's the existing edge of pavement here, where this side is pavement, and this is existing gravel right in here.
So what's in the middle here?
Pavement.
Okay, I got it.
Yeah, so from edge of pavement to edge of pavement, this front area here is paved.
And what are these squares?
Those are where people are currently parking,
Okay.
so existing parking spaces.
And then pavement on the other side where the tanks are, is this all asphalt?
That's all gravel.
This is all gravel, and that's gonna remain gravel?
Correct.
And where does the water go now that it's paved? How does that runoff from that get dealt with?
Flows primarily, if you look at the 10 contour here,
Yeah.
some of it gets, they dug in a little loading dock area here
Mhm.
that's gonna get filled in, and they had to put a leaching pit at the bottom of that just because they depressed that area. But basically, the high point of the grading is right about here. This portion goes this way towards Marshfield Avenue. This portion goes this way towards Central Avenue.
So none of it's really recharged or anything?
Correct.
And this loading dock's getting removed?
That's right.
Mm.
Do you have any way to bring any of that water, keep it on site, or?
Probably not. To maintain our setbacks required to the.
I'm just wondering,
onset leaching.
you know, we talked about this earlier, but dealing with the stormwater, how much area, square feet are you disturbing?
Oh, roughly, let's see, 42,000, it's about 5,000 to 6,000 square feet roughly.
Do you have to go to the planning board to redo that? I mean, your parking lot's staying the same?
If we're not changing it, I don't believe we need to go there.
Just to get you a picture. That's where the concrete tanks are.
Okay.
That's where chambers are gonna go. It's just, there's not a lot of place to send water there. It's,
Unless it went underground.
yeah.
I mean, I'm just assuming that we have to deal with the stormwater piece of that.
I'm not sure it would be subject to the stormwater bylaw.
No?
I don't think it would be. Existing parking lot, there's no increase in impervious coverage proposed.
Well, you're disturbing that amount of area. I don't know myself, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think you might be right, though, because you're not altering it, you're just disturbing it to put the septic in and then put it exactly the way it
Same
was.
size, shape, and grades, yeah.
You do have okay from the Board of Health now?
Yes, we do. I wouldn't be opposed to a condition that says we have to review the stormwater bylaw, and if there is a requirement that we need to submit,
Comply,
then we
yeah.
submit something.
Okay.
And that's something we could follow up with Pat, and at least come to some agreement on that.
I think that would be a good idea. Any other thoughts or questions? Thank you. I appreciate it. Well,
Good questions.
Bill?
Nope.
Okay, I think we will take a look at that, and that may be part of our orders,
Yeah, I
So
think
these are
that's
restricted
fine.
now?
okay?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it's not subject to it, but I'm not opposed to other conditions.
The town of Scituate adopted a stormwater bylaw a couple of years ago to deal with runoff onto other properties or into rivers, streams, that sort of thing. If you disturb more than 5,000 square feet of land, come under that piece, and you'd have to take a look at where your water runs to, that you're not shedding it onto the neighbors or street or anything like that. But you're also pretty much working on an existing condition. So I'm just not clear on that, but because you file with the Conservation Commission, we have the jurisdiction over that piece, and we have to take a look at that, so. All right? Which may require a little change in grading or something. Anybody in the audience? So I think we can close this.
No?
Okay. Motion to close?
Motion,
Second the motion to close.
All in favor?
aye.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Did I hold you up and go?
No,
No,
we
not at all.
we
We
jumped around one.
used
He held
the
up
time
the client,
wisely.
but we were okay. He was a little panicky for a minute, but we were
I
fine.
got the text.
What the? So, just out of curiosity,
The grades are a little different than what was proposed.
how many yards different?
I'm not sure. Basically, he went to the property line and just graded up like you had
Okay.
mentioned.
All right, good.
So he's gonna mull it over and decide whether he wants to return it to the grade it was, or maybe look at some sort of a proposed modification with you to. Funny thing is, if you were to leave the fill, modify it, and capture the runoff from the filled area, there's gonna be
Right.
less runoff heading towards the neighbor's property than
Right.
previously approved.
No, I'm saying,
Yeah.
you guys might be able to figure out something.
Yeah. And I think if we didn't get an extra foot of rain in June, then
Right, nobody
Well,
would
I
notice.
think Mr. Ye's been keeping a pretty close eye on it, to be
Yeah.
honest with you. Good enough.
sediment carryover, I didn't think looked too terrible considering.
It's not huge,
Yeah.
but that,
Landscaping
it was
just
more the
certainly
piece, the
helped.
way it came out concerned me, that's quite a bit different, so.
It is different, yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, thanks. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Good luck with that. So the only piece that we have is the order, right? Order conditions for, is it Privetti?
Matera?
Privatera, 121 Turner Road. Was there anything out?
I don't think so.
I'm surprised if I told you I didn't read it.
You're not supposed to announce that.
I didn't get to that one tonight. But I don't remember talking to Pat about there being.
No, I don't see anything.
I don't think so. I think we would have discussed it if there was. So, I get a motion to accept orders for
Motion to accept the orders for 121 Turner Road.
a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Great. Is that it?
Motion to close?
Anybody with anything that they'd like to bring up?
There was something I wanted to say earlier, but I can't remember what it was.
Would it,
I was just looking at this, which was interesting. 'Cause I didn't realize that, how that would be grandfathered.
But even if they weren't, ultimately what happens in a place like Humrock, a large portion of the systems don't conform. And in order to get a good system in, they pretty much waive everything, or you would have tight tanks. So, you know, most of the systems there might be smaller than they need to be. they're right up to property lines without setbacks they would need to have, and, because the best thing for the environment is to have a newer system.
Right.
But I think if they were able to, it's kind of interesting that they can use those tanks.
Those off-street tanks.
Right.
I guess,
Well, I thought so too, because, I mean, everything has an expiration date, and, I mean, is the test that he's talking about, is it really like a land park where you fill it with X amount of gallons, and then,
well, the perk tests were done over here for the leaching area, but what he's saying is that these tanks over here are still watertight and functioning.
right, and he said that they put
They
water
fill them
in
with water,
right.
and basically the water remains.
Stays at that level.
They're concrete tanks, I mean, they have a pretty long,
So that they're open?
Well, they're all sealed.
Okay, so how do you know it remains?
You have a.
they dig and pull the access panel out, like when they do a Title V
Oh, okay.
inspection.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they even said they're gonna change lines, I mean, they'll probably end up doing some work around the tanks and some excavating.
And then the health agent really takes over that piece of it. I mean, we want to know that it's compliant, but
Right.
the health department will actually make sure that that functions properly.
Right.
So
So as long as they get
if
the
they're
Title
pretty
V.
satisfied. with
That's that
piece.
much less disturbance they have to do in the riverfront area,
Yeah.
True.
yeah, instead of excavating all.
You could be like an environmental consultant. And if you think about it, where they placed that, they got that further away from the river. So it's not a bad,
Yeah, so it's a good thing.
right. But what we would like to see is where all this is asphalt, right now, that water just sheds onto somebody else's property or down the street. So if we do have jurisdiction on that, and they can take a look at how they handle that runoff, perhaps they can introduce that back into the ground, maybe along this area or something like that,
Mhm.
rather than shed it somewhere else.
Right.
See what happens. Right. Well, I could take a motion to, did we already get that?
Yeah, motion to close.
Second. All in favor?
Aye,
Hey,
thank you.
thank you.
And my-